a good friend of mine. Please put your hands together for Mr. Tanner Rolfe, everybody.
Hey there, my name is Tanner Rolfe. I'm a stand-up comedian with a degree in fashion design, and I have a problem. Every winter I tell myself I'm going to make a winter jacket, and then I never get around to making it until winter is over. See that jacket right there? It was made in March. And that one, also made in March. And that one, you guessed it, April. Well, this year things are going to change. Instead of being way too late to the party, I'm going to show up way too early, and I'm going to make a winter jacket before the winter. Now, it's currently August. That gives me about 4 months to make it before winter solstice. But I live in Utah, where we can get snow as early as October. And with reports of a La Nina coming through, we could be getting a massive order for the greatest snow on Earth coming pretty soon. So really, I have about 6 weeks to get this done. Will I do it? Or will procrastination take another dub? Let's find out. This is Peace, Love, Dopamine. Now, before we get too far, please subscribe and hit the bell. This channel's still very young, and support like yours is really going to make a big impact. Now, back in April, I made this jacket, and it's made to look like the starter jackets from the 90s. Remember those? When I was a kid, starter jackets were the coolest. I even tried to raise $500 from Jump Rope for Heart just to win a starter jacket. I raised $10. Turns out going door to door in your neighborhood doesn't work when every other neighbor also has kids raising money for Jump Rope for Heart. Not even my parents helped. They're like, we already donated to your brother. So, I didn't get the starter jacket. I didn't even get a keychain. I got a thank you. Times were simpler back then, at least how I remember it, and maybe that's why I wanted to make this jacket, to revisit that era. That, and it looks hella cool. So I made one already, and we're going to make another. Why? Because why have one starter jacket when you can have 2 starter jackets? It's simple math, really. The game plan. Now, this jacket is an insulated jacket, which means it has 3 layers: the shell, the lining, and an insulated layer to keep things warm. A quarter zip is going to make it easy to put on and off, where a high collar and hood are also going to block out the wind, with elastic waistband and cuffs to keep things snug. The sleeves are what I would call this hybrid dolman raglan sleeve. I honestly don't know what its purpose is. I just know Starter did it, so I did it. And of course, don't forget pockets on pockets. The kangaroo pocket is essentially a giant envelope stitched to the jacket. It's comically oversized, but then again, so am I. So it fits. For this particular jacket, I'll be swapping out the collar, the waistband, and the cuffs with rib knit. That'll make things a little bit sportier, but also more comfortable. The blueprint. The pattern is self-drafted, but I did take some inspiration from some commercial patterns. If you're wanting to use a commercial pattern, there are 2 that I would recommend. The first is the green pepper Fairbanks anorak pattern. It's a little bit different from my jacket, but a lot of the same features are there. The second pattern is the Unicos Molde Poleron Cortaviento Hombre 2306. How's my Spanish? Can you tell I took 0 years of it in high school? Now, this is pretty much straight up the starter jacket. I mean, look at their spec image. You can even see the starter zipper pull tab in it. It's a great pattern. The problem is it doesn't come with very detailed instructions. So if you're new to constructing garments, this might be a little tough for you. But if you are familiar with garment construction, it is pretty straightforward. The software. The shell is going to be made out of the satin-like curtain I found for free off Facebook Marketplace. It's not the most ideal fabric that you can use for this type of project, but I got it for free. Also, it looks cool. The lining is a simple knit fabric. It was originally white, but then I pre-washed it with some black fabric, like an idiot, and now it's gray. But it's on the inside for the most part, so it doesn't bother me. But yeah, that was stupid on my part. The other jacket was lined with Thinsulate 105 GSM, which is rated for 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Thinsulate is a great insulated option, but it's expensive, and I'm unemployed. So I went with a cheap batting I found at my local quilt shop. The hardware. The hardware for this is pretty minimal. It's got 2 zippers, one for the neck, one for the pocket, and then one set of snaps for the pocket flap. Originally, I wanted to do a tackle twill patch on this jacket, like you would see in those starter jackets, but I couldn't find any option that was affordable. Luckily, I have a good friend who owns a heat press, and I was able to press my graphics onto it instead. All right, y'all, you ready to make some magic? Let's fire up the machines. I always serge the edges of everything I cut before I start stitching. It's a pain in the ass for people like me who just want to get started, but it's always worth it. Plus, at this stage, it was a convenient way to attach the lining to the insulation. Now, I didn't have a dedicated camera on my ironing board, but after every seam, I made sure to press my seams.
Always press your seams.
Big Tanner is watching you. The basic construction isn't super complicated. I mean, shoulders to shoulders, sides to sides, you get it. It's like any other bodice you would stitch. But it is bulky, so you will need some patience and to just keep your head on a swivel. The zipper starts like any other zippered garment. I made sure to add interfacing just to give that seam a little more oomph. And then I moved on to the collar and to the hood. All right, when cutting rib knit for collars, cuffs, and waistbands, the general rule of thumb is 10 to 25% shorter than your final length. This will make things a little bit tighter, but not restrictive. And I nailed it on the cuffs and the waistband, but then I whiffed it on the collar. And that's why we have a favorite seam ripper. I shortened the collar by a good 2 inches, and that was the trick to keeping it tighter without being irritating. The lining is literally the same as the shell, just no kangaroo pocket. I mean, you can if you want, I just didn't. Oh, and make sure to leave an 8-inch gap in the long end of one arm. That's going to help you big time later. The most complicated part of this build was the zipper. There's just not much information out there on how to do it. I don't know if this is the right way, but this is how I did it. I stitched the box around the lining where the zipper was going to go and then cut it open. Then, one side at a time, I sewed right sides together with the zipper tape in between of the lining to the shell. Then I attached around the neck and the collar, and I flipped the lining to the inside of the shell. After that, I reached in through the waistband to find that little triangle from where you cut the zipper out on the shell and the lining and stitched that together. That's going to make the zipper box nice and tight at the zipper stop. It's not super complicated, but because again, this jacket is just so bulky, it's going to take a few tries and a lot of pinning and a lot of patience. But the end result is a very nice, super clean zipper that's sandwiched between both layers. Once the zipper was done, I put my arm through the sleeves to find where the cuff met the sleeves. And then I pulled that through the waistband so that way we could sew the right sides together of the shell to the lining. And then I put it back in through the sleeve and put my arm through again to make sure none of the fabric was twisted. Because as much as I love my seam ripper, I'd rather not. There's a few ways you can do the waist. For me, I pinched where the shell and the lining would meet, and then I rolled them in so the right sides were facing each other and stitched around that way. Now, if you do it this way, you're not going to be able to finish the entire seam in one go. That's okay, just get as far as you can. I made it with about 6 inches of waistband left. And then what you can do is finish that waistband through the opening you left in the underarm. So before I closed the garment for good, I made sure to tack the seam allowances at the underarm. Think of your lining and shell like two dancers. If they hold too tight, their movement's going to be rigid and aggressive, but if they're too loose, they'll get too far away from each other. Your jacket's the same thing. We want to make sure that the lining and the shell are free to move from each other, but having a tack at the underarm and at the collar will keep it from twisting too much during natural movement. Once that was done, I simply edge stitched along that opening in the sleeve to close things up. Now you can do a blind stitch if you want, but since this is inside the sleeve and no one's really going to see it, not even me, I don't care that much. Plus, if I ever need to make changes in the future, it'll be easy to access. After that, all that was left was to do some top stitching, and guys, we got us a starter jacket.
I was at a McDonald's the other day, and was just standing ordering my food, and this little 5-year-old came up to me. He's staring at me. I didn't know what to do, so I was like, "What's up, buddy?" And he goes, "Fat," and then he left. He was gone. 5 years old, and he's already bullying at a 12th grade level. It's incredible. And they say Roblox is doing nothing for these younger generations, but the best part is he got out of eyesight, but he didn't get out of earshot, because I heard him go to his mom and go, "That guy is fat." He got me twice. And it's like, he was 5. I couldn't fight back. How do you win a fight against a 5-year-old? You know, so I just had to take it on the second chin.
So, did I finish my jacket in time? Yes, way ahead of schedule actually. But my problem was never getting things done once I got started. My problem was getting started. In Stephen Pressfield's book, The War of Art, he calls this the resistance, and the resistance is something I struggle with big time. But I came out victorious, with a jacket ready to go when winter rolls around. I mean, it's currently 100 degrees outside, but winter is coming. If I were to do this project again, there's a few things I would change. I don't think I would do a zippered pocket. It's fun, but I don't really use it, so it's just an extra step that isn't needed. But I still might keep the flap, just for the aesthetics of the jacket. The front of the lining is put in pieces that aren't necessary. I can combine a lot of those pattern pieces the next time and reduce some of the seams in bulk on the inside of the jacket. Now, my local shops don't really carry good rib knit, so I was very conservative with how I cut the ribbing. If I knew I would have had as much left over as I did, I would have made the collar a little bit higher as well as the waistband. But overall, I'm stoked about this jacket. I think it does well to represent me and what I want PLD to be. And it's something I'm proud to have on my portfolio. But what do you think? I mean, are you wanting to make a jacket? Have you made a jacket? What did I get right? What did I get wrong? Tell me about it in the comments below. Tell me what's going on in your life. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. This channel is still very young, and support like yours can help it get on its feet as quickly as possible. Thank you so much, and until next time, peace, love, dopamine.